Let's get into some property now on a Monday with the Township Property Investment Trends. I'm so excited to speak to Melissa Hammanburg once again to talk about how property in the township has been gaining momentum as an investment across South Africa, offering a unique combination of high demand, community-driven growth and affordability. Now, this trend is redefining the local real estate as more investors, both seasoned and first-time, are exploring opportunities that exist in historically overlooked areas. So perhaps Soweto or Khayelitsha, and seen really more of a surge in property development, backyard rental units, and commercial hubs built within residential zones. So in today's conversation, we'll unpack what's driving investment in the township at the moment and the social and economic dynamics at play. Melissa, really good to talk to you again. Welcome to Power Lunch.
Good afternoon. How are you guys?
Very, very well, thank you. Let's start with what's making the township property investment such a hot topic right now.
Oh, yes, it literally is at the moment, mainly because of affordability and the demand that side is a bit high when it comes to property demand. People need spaces, they want to rent, but then they can't afford obviously the expensive urban housing, so they always opt for something that's more cheaper, like cottages, back rooms, or the one-bedroom apartments in the township.
That's very interesting. I feel like this has always happened, but there's either a formalization or a popularization. Would you agree?
Yes, that's actually true.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's just that now, because of the economy, a lot of people are not able to afford things the way that we were used to. So now people are opting for the cheaper options and the more familiar options, which would then be to stay within the township. And there's a lot of working from home and all of that. So they're looking at all of that. They don't have to pay that much money. And also, people want to move out of home but still be around familiar places.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell me about how you describe the state of the township property market across South Africa.
Currently, it is increasing. A lot of developers are in the township and they are building houses, they're building flatlets and so forth. Like you mentioned, places in like Soweto, Khayelitsha, and then there's also Mlazi, there's Randfontein. There's actually quite a few properties. And also, if you can check in South Africa, there's a lot of informal settlements. So people building around those areas as
Yes.
well, and which would then give the opportunity for people to be able to have affordable housing. And then there's also the RDP issue as well, where some people are actually converting those ones into rentals as well, but that's not another conversation I really want to dwell too much into. But yeah.
Now, why do you want to not dwell into that?
Look, it's a conversation for, and it's a topic on its own. The people that are also renting out their RDP houses, they are extending it, they're turning it into rooms, and some people are supposed to get the houses to live in,
Yeah.
but they are actually renting them instead of actually getting the house.
All right. I do understand why you don't want to get into
Yeah.
it. There is a lot of politic behind it as well. So let's stick with the township property investment trends across all the townships where we grew up, where you grew up, or, what you drove past as you went to school in the suburbs, and having an understanding of what homes are in that area potentially able to, give people a livelihood and send people to school and, all the things that we're trying to reach for survival in South Africa. So what kinds of properties are investors most commonly buying or developing in townships?
So fortunately for me, I grew up in a lot of places. So I'm originally from Nelspruit, Pinari, and then I moved to Annandale. Then from Annandale, I moved to the suburbs. So I do have an understanding of a bit of all the areas because I still do visit them. I'm still familiar with them. I do have family members in all of these other areas. So, for instance, if you go to Nelspruit, Ekesimbane or Epinari, you would see that they're building a lot of rooms, backyard rooms or the tiny flatlets. They may not be as fabulous or whatever the case is, but they are more affordable for people that are living that side because it's more of like the rural areas and so forth. And then if you go to places like, let's say, for instance, Annandale, they've got more of your modernized-ish apartments.
Okay.
They do have smaller kitchens, and a lot of people from Annandale are being moved from Annandale, and they're going to Lehigh, that's where you'd find houses that are like maybe your 2-bedroom houses. It's like basically a modern RDP house.
Okay.
And yeah, they're selling it for like 600,000. It's a new house. So the developers are developing those type of houses. It is very neat, but those are the type of houses that you would get. And then there's other areas in Soweto or Randfontein or so forth where you would find those same houses, or you'd also find flatlets as well that also still have a tiny kitchen, and it mainly depends. You do get these houses, they're not big, they are quite small, but they are livable,
And no, absolutely. And I also imagine it is a accomplishment that one can, give to themselves, that this is what I've been able to do. And I think that that's very, very important to be able to do that. I've driven around many of these areas, and what always strikes me when the schools start popping up. The schools, and it's not really schools that the nation has built. It's the other schools, the schools I'm talking about, and they pop up because they know we have nowhere else to go. So yeah, it is a very interesting thing. And I wonder then what kind of property investors are most commonly buying and developing in townships. I mean, is it someone maybe like you and me who just want to get together and buy an extra something that'll give us a little extra something at the end of the month? Or are people actually going in there to create these big property investments that we always see?
So honestly, we are now getting a lot of my clients are always like, Mel, I want a place that has a big yard space, maybe in your Randfontein, Soweto, and they want to build maybe backroom houses or whatever the case may be. And then you do get investors or people that come together that form a company on their own, and they then start to develop properties. Sometimes you find maybe it's like complexes, whereby underneath it's a shop and then on top it's other houses and stuff like that. So it's a bit of both. You get people that are saving, and they're building rooms ekaya, and they're renting them out. And then you get people that are buying a big house, and then they're dividing those houses in between. You find that mostly in, let's say, Rosettenville, Turffontein, and maybe it's a 5-bedroom house, and there'll be 6 families living in there. Then you'd find it's different.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
and I have a bit of an understanding of what it is that you mean. So townships that stand out as investment hotspots. Could you give us a bit of a list and tell us why?
We can be looking at Umlazi, we can be looking at Soweto, we can be looking at Randfontein, we can be looking at Khayelitsha, we can be looking at there's a lot of other places around, but mostly Soweto, Randfontein, Khayelitsha, Mlazi, and so forth. Yeah.
And are we finding that it's the issue that apartheid town spacing left us with? That it's about how close people are to work, how close people are to school. How easy is it to get onto those highways? That's, making this such a lucrative set of areas.
So honestly, I would say yes. At the same time, there's a lot of people in the township, and a lot of them, obviously, they would love to move into the urban areas, but because of affordability, they're not able to.
Yeah.
For instance, a 2-bedroom apartment in maybe let's say in Sandton would probably cost like 12 to 15,000 rand, and then when you want to move out, you want to live better, but now here's another 2-bedroom apartment in Soweto. Maybe it's costing you 5,000 rand or 6,000 rand, and then. But the thing is, the distance from Soweto to work would still come in effect. But most of the people now these days are working from home, so they don't really feel that the petrol that much.
Of course.
And then yes, the developers are also developing shopping complexes and so forth. So then, meaning that jobs are being created within those areas, meaning that they don't really have to go out of those areas. So then it also becomes cheaper for them because they're able to walk to work, or it doesn't really cost them that much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Melissa is on the line. Let's speak to Zico, who is on the line as well. Hello, Zico.
Babalo Dumela.
Leka.
Babalo.
And
you are a lovely guest.
Melissa.
Melissa, trying to invest in township, one, the hurdle that we encounter, or the house that is being sold is sold by the grandkids. The house is not on the grandkids' name. The house is on the grandparents who are no longer alive. I'm talking of townships. Normally, that's what's happening. So you find one, we've got the capital, we want to invest, maybe we want to turn that house into a B&B or something. But now, because the owners are no longer there, that thing is blocking township economy. How can one go above that hurdle? Because going to the deeds office, I'm telling you, is not easy, especially to jump this hurdle. What is your advice on it?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, to sell in a township, especially Soweto, I have my own personal experience there as well. It is one of the most difficult to sell in, because mainly you would find people whereby that maybe this side of the family wants to sell, the other side of the family doesn't want to sell. And what matters is always the person who has the title deed or who is on the title deed. So, for instance, if I was to come to you and you are selling the house, if your name and there's 2 people signed on the title deed, let's say Ugogo was married to Umkhulu, I get there, and then Gogo's like, I want to sell this house. The kids don't want to sell the house, or Mkhulu doesn't want to sell the house. I go, I do my valuation, and then when I do the mandate, normally the law does allow me to only have Gogo's signature on the mandate to put it on the market. But it does not allow me to sell it if Mkhulu's signature is not on the offer to purchase. So it does become a bit complicated. That's where the agents come in. Then we have to do price counseling. We have to do a lot of counseling, a lot of talking back and forth, and sometimes it makes the process take even longer. Hence, we always say that when buying a property, it doesn't just take maybe 3 months if you're going via the bank. Sometimes it takes longer because of family politics and all of these other things. So my advice would always be, always have the person who is on that title deed. Their signatures is what matters the most. And when you're signing the offer to purchase, if it's 2 people, make sure the 2 people are signed on that offer to purchase. It doesn't matter if it's the kid.
Sorry to interrupt there, but now my question, both the grandparents are no longer alive.
Yes. So how do we get both on the offer to purchase?
They didn't have any will. Remember now, we are talking of the house
long time ago.
Were built
So that falls
apartheid.
under the deceased, what you call estate.
Yeah.
So you'd have to go through the whole estate process first. Once you get to the estate process ending in one of or the few of you together owning the property, to sell it, you'd all have to make an agreement to sell it together. Otherwise, if one person can't sign it, then what? It can't be sold, Melissa.
The deceased estate is quite difficult. Honestly speaking, it is, because sometimes it can take years for a property to be able to sell. And in most cases, we always advise to try to avoid them. So in cases like that, you would have to make sure that the whole family is in agreement, especially the people that are on the estate or the executives.
Yeah.
You understand? And the other thing, what makes it a challenge is that a lot of people don't really understand the process of the deceased, like how an estate works.
Yes.
So it does become a very big challenge. So all situations they have their own case study. They're all different. So
and if Zico and his three sisters, ne? Zico and one sister have decided that they're going to make this a B&B. Papa loved football, and so we're going to paint all of his football's memorabilia all around the house and make it a proper Airbnb, because now they come to watch us in Soweto in red buses like we're some sort of zoo. But anyway, let's make money off of that anyway. And the other sister doesn't want to participate in this leveling up of the property and owning the property and Airbnb-ing it. What can Zico do?
Yeah, that's also another difficult one. Unfortunately, they would have to come into an agreement as a family. There's nothing that he could really do. They'd have to go and take it and start fighting, and it's a very draining process, trust me.
So there's nothing necessarily in the law that can help him to do anything. They just have to figure out.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they have to come to an agreement, or they within themselves, the family has to come into an agreement. And if the family is not agreeing, nothing is getting sold.
That's a very, very tough one. And I imagine so many people around town are experiencing that, particularly with the homes that we're talking about, Zico and I, that, your great-grandmother owned this. And it wasn't ownership at that time, was it? You had a 99-year lease.
Yes.
So, where is that lease, first of all, so that we can bring it into the modern day, and then obviously all of the things that you want to do with the property that the other ones just don't care to do for the property, which is a really interesting thing that the families must do. I mean, your grandparents or the owners aren't necessarily around anymore, but let's talk about maybe talking to your family about what you'd like done with that property when you've gone to visit Jesus.
I think it's very important for people to have a will, and also to have an executive if it comes to like a deceased estate or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But it's important to have a will, because of that then indicates exactly what your wishes are and what you would like to have done. And that will has to be signed, because if the will is not signed, it then becomes invalid. Then the state has to decide how they are going to distribute your assets and so forth.
So get Gogo a will and help her out and figure out what she wants. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult once she's gone. All right. So what about, what else can you tell us? There's a very exciting space, but it doesn't seem to be taken seriously by many, but we understand why. First-time investors. I mean, we see that all the time. We're talking about these 55 square meter apartments for 6 million rand, and you think, wow, what life are we living? But they do that. Are we seeing more first-time investors entering the space in township economy?
Yes, we are. We honestly are. We are seeing quite a few. You'd get someone that would buy two houses at the same time, but that's also a very different topic as well. But we are seeing people, first-time buyers going straight into the investment sector. But people are just, they're excited about the idea of earning more money, but they're not looking at how difficult it would be for them to get the money back, especially with the rentals, especially with the back rooms. Yeah. It's very hectic in the township to get your money when it's month end, when it's time to pay up.
What do you mean? Why?
It becomes a tedious process. Other people, I've got clients that I know that they would have to fight people before they are able to get the rent money. They would have to have bodyguards that can go and intimidate the people before they can actually get the rent money. And then you must also remember that you can't just evict someone. The law protects people that are renting or that are in that space. And in most cases, people don't really sign a lease agreement because that's like a common law.
I was about to say the lease agreement should be able to sort this out for you, but why are they not signing a lease agreement?
So here's the thing about a lease agreement. You can sign a lease agreement to say that, yes, these are the terms and conditions and so forth. This was our agreement. But that person can also use that lease agreement against you. They can say that, but I can't afford to pay this thing. And if I move out of the house, I don't have anywhere to go. Then
we know about how difficult it is to get somebody out. I think we should talk for another hour about this, but we'll make sure we have another chat the next time we talk about property. How do we get hold of you?
Anyone wants to get a hold of me, they can call me on 0844 507738, or they can get me on all the social media platforms, which is Mel_Hammanburg, or my podcast, which is Beyond Listings with Mel. And they can come to my office in Remix Finest. Look for Melissa Hammanburg. They'll definitely find me and a lot of other great agents.
Fantastic. Well, lovely to talk to you again.